I wanted to show along that video some pictures and videos I have taken of the Canadian landscape, not because I think they are art worth showing, but more in an attempt to recognize the beauty of these lands and to acknowledge the strong relationship that there is between a community and the location where that community lives. Now, there are several ways to describe the place I'm doing my research at. I could say that most of my research, I do it at Queen's University in Kingston, Ontario, and that my mobility was at McMaster University, that is in Hamilton, also in Ontario. This is a description based on the names given by the Canadian Federal Administration. But of course, there is a different way to describe it, to explain it, and I will try my best to do it correctly and respectfully. I will make the distinction between First Nations and newcomers, where the newcomers are the first colonizers coming from Europe, as well as actually, well, myself, for example, who immigrated to Canada in 2021. The First Nations are the people that were there before and that have been living there for a very long time before European colonizers arrived. For example, the city of Kingston, or Cataraqui, is recognized as being the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee and Huron-Wendat nations. It is also said to be covered by Treaty 57, or the St. Regis Purchase, and the Crawford's Purchase. Hamilton is acknowledged as being the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, Atiwonderunk, and Mississaugas. And I'm sorry if my pronunciation is incorrect. Hamilton is covered by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, and the land has been acquired by the Between the Lakes Purchase in 1792. So I've been saying several times that the lands were purchased. Now, I think it's quite interesting. I have tried to do some research about the Treaty 57 or the Between the Lakes Treaty. And sometimes it's a bit difficult to actually find written papers that clearly stipulate what these treaties are about, what exact territory it concerns, etc. A lot of those treaties or those purchases, they have been agreed by discussions between an important figure of the First Nation at that time, say a chief, for example, and a representative of the British Crown for Ontario province. For the Between the Lakes Treaty, for example, the Treaty number 3, it is assumed, according to the document, that around 3 million of acres have been acquired in return of goods that were worth £1,200. And it's a little bit the same, seemingly, for the other purchases. Basically, representatives of the British Crown have negotiated to get the acquisition and the ownership of lands in return of goods. It could be clothes, it could be food, it could be rifles and gunpowder and things like that. Now, today, I genuinely believe that there is a real attempt from the whole Canadian people, First Nations, newcomers, whoever they are, wherever they come from, try to reconciliate and heal from the pain caused by mistakes of the past. First Nations are not only consulted when large-scale projects are going to impact their lands, they are involved in these projects. And all together, we try to recognize our common points and learn from our differences. This might sound a little bit naive, and in reality, we face a lot of challenges, right? But I genuinely believe that there is a real desire to come to peace and do what is best for Canadian people for the present and for the future. This is at least what I feel like when I interact with all of the people I interact from, for example, the nuclear industry. Nuclear industry impacts lands significantly. You're going to build nuclear power plants along rivers. You're going to use the water provided by these rivers to cool down your reactors. You're going to bring uranium to the reactors that has been extracted from huge mines. And then you're going to produce nuclear waste that is going to be stored, buried in the soil all of that is done by impacting lands that very likely are traditional territory of First Nations. Now, it is believed that all of these impacts, they also come with benefits. We provide energy for the Canadian people, and that concerns everyone. And I believe that by involving everyone and discussing and trying to reach agreements, we can do things, say, cleverly and really keep in mind the interest of the present generations and the future generations. And just to conclude on a different topic, there is something that I really like about the research that I'm doing here in Canada, and I think it is strengthened by the opportunities given by the correct program. It is the large variety of backgrounds of the people I am meeting. I've met people from India, China, Iran, Nigeria, Canada, Brazil, etc., etc. And I think it's a good thing that Canada, at least in the field I'm working in, has such a diversity. I think the Canadian population is quite diverse anyway, but for sure, in the little world I'm living in, it's definitely the case. And yeah, it has value to be included in a group of people coming from, as we say in French, diverse horizons. And the horizons you have seen a lot along that video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it interesting.